tragic night in the sky. Welcome back to a very tragic story. If you're a returning viewer, it's great to have you here again. And if you're new, welcome. This is where we tell real-life stories of tragedy, resilience, and the events that leave a lasting impact on the world. Some stories will break your heart, others will leave you in shock, but all serve as reminders of how fragile and unpredictable life can be. Today, we're covering a devastating plane crash that shook Philadelphia, a routine medical flight that ended in catastrophe. What went wrong? Who were the lives lost? And what questions still remain? Stay with me as we uncover the full story. A routine flight. It was a cold and overcast evening on January 31st, 2025. In Northeast Philadelphia, the streets were bustling with life. Cars honking, families returning home from work and school, and shoppers navigating the busy sidewalks near Roosevelt Mall. No one could have predicted the horror that was about to unfold in the sky above them. At 6:06 p.m., Medjet's Flight 056, a Learjet 55, operated by Jet Rescue Air Ambulance, lifted off from Northeast Philadelphia Airport. This was not a commercial flight, but a medical evacuation mission, one meant to save lives. The aircraft's destination was Tijuana, Mexico, with a scheduled refueling stop in Missouri. On board were 6 people: Captain Alan Alejandro Montoya Perales, an experienced pilot who had flown medical flights for years. First Officer Josue de Jesus Juarez, the co-pilot assisting with the flight. Dr. Raul Mesa Arredondo, a dedicated doctor responsible for the medical care of the patient. Paramedic Rodrigo Lopez Padilla, assisting in ensuring the patient's safe transport. 11-year-old Valentina Guzman Murillo, a critically ill young girl hoping for life-saving treatment. Lizeth Murillo Ozuna, Valentina's mother, who refused to leave her daughter's side. As the aircraft ascended into the cloudy night sky, air traffic controllers at the airport expected routine communication from the pilots, but what they heard instead was chilling.
Medevac Med Service 056, turn right after departure.
Silence.
Med Service 056, do you copy?
Still nothing. Something was terribly wrong. The aircraft had reached an altitude of 1,650 feet, but instead of continuing its climb, it suddenly plummeted. In just 40 seconds, the plane had completely vanished from radar. Seconds later, a fireball erupted in the distance, lighting up the sky like an explosion from a war zone. The Learjet slammed into the ground near Cottman Avenue and Roosevelt Boulevard, just 2.5 miles from the airport. The location was one of the busiest intersections in Northeast Philadelphia, a place where hundreds of cars passed every hour. The crash was instantaneous and catastrophic. Witnesses reported hearing a loud boom, followed by flames shooting into the night sky. One witness described it as something out of a nightmare. I heard this massive explosion and then I saw a fireball in the sky. Pieces of debris were flying everywhere. People were running and screaming. Another witness recalled, I saw a woman running from her car, but she was on fire. I'll never forget that sight as long as I live. Within moments, homes, vehicles, and businesses were engulfed in flames. The fiery wreckage spread across a wide radius, trapping people inside their cars and buildings. Emergency responders rushed to the scene, but the devastation was overwhelming. The impact killed all 6 people on board: the pilots, the medical personnel, and the mother and daughter. But the tragedy didn't stop there. On the ground, 37-year-old Stephen Druitt was driving with his fiancée Dominique Goods and their young son. The plane's wreckage crushed their vehicle, killing Stephen instantly. His fiancée and their child suffered critical injuries. In total, 7 people lost their lives, and 24 others were injured, some with severe burns and traumatic wounds. Among the most heartbreaking stories was 10-year-old Andre Trey Howard III, who had been walking outside with his younger sister when the explosion occurred. In a heroic act, he threw himself over his sister to protect her from the debris. Trey suffered a severe head injury and was rushed into emergency brain surgery. Miraculously, he survived, but the road to recovery would be long. Another young victim, 9-year-old Rameses Druitt, suffered burns over 90% of his body when his family's car was engulfed in flames. He was later transported to a specialized burn center in Boston, where doctors continue to fight for his life. As the flames died down, investigators from the National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, and the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, arrived at the crash site. Their mission: to find out what caused this tragedy. They recovered the cockpit voice recorder and the enhanced ground proximity warning system, hoping these devices would hold the answers. Several questions needed answers. Mechanical failure? Did the aircraft experience a critical system failure that led to its sudden descent? Pilot error? Did the flight crew make a fatal mistake in the crucial seconds after takeoff? Weather conditions. The sky was overcast and visibility was low. Could the pilots have suffered spatial disorientation? Air traffic control miscommunication? Why did the pilots never respond to the controller's instructions? The preliminary report is expected within a month, but a final report could take years. Until then, the victims' families and the Philadelphia community are left waiting for answers. Philadelphia, a city known for its resilience, now grieves for the lives lost. Memorials have been set up near the crash site, candles flickering in the cold night air, flowers and handwritten notes left by heartbroken strangers. Fundraisers have been started to help the injured, and the community has come together in support of those affected. The Philadelphia plane crash is a gut-wrenching reminder of how quickly life can change. What was supposed to be a routine medical flight turned into an unspeakable tragedy. As investigators search for answers, the victims' families are left wondering, was this preventable? Could their loved ones have been saved? Aviation safety has improved over the years, but incidents like this show that more work is needed. Should older jets be more strictly regulated? Should small aircraft be restricted from flying over heavily populated areas? What do you think? Let's continue this conversation in the comments. That's all for today, friends. If this story moved you, leave a comment about the risks of air travel and how tragedies like this affect local communities. Subscribe for more stories like this, and don't forget to hit the like button to show support for the victims and their families. See you in the next one.